The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, the unofficial Scream Queens internet radio show exclusively on PapiChuloRadio.com. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Wednesday, September 21st, 2016, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of Fox's Scream Queens. Please welcome my co-hosts. First up, Clay's Anatomy.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is my first time out. Really excited. Big fan of your other program, so I'm pumped. I'm trying to contain myself.
Awesome.
Right
Welcome,
now.
Clay. Next up, Prince Rico Suave.
What's poppin', and Clay, you never have to contain yourself here. Let the excitement out.
I'll keep that
Yes,
in mind.
Prince does seem to let it all hang out. I'm just saying.
Okay. That's good to know.
Always.
Good to know.
Yes. And last but not least, please welcome Priscilla Rocha.
Hey guys! Glad to be back.
Awesome.
Oh shit, Priscilla got
She
a last
does.
name?
She debuted it tonight.
Yeah,
Hey,
like
I see you,
Chanel's.
Priscilla. Hey.
Yes, too funny. So everyone, let's get into it. Let's jump into our recap of Season 2, Episode 1, titled Scream Again, and aired September 20th, 2016. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. In a flashback to 1985, a pregnant wife interrupts a Halloween party in need of help and is directed to Dr. Mike, who dumps the body in a swamp outside the hospital instead while his wife waits for her husband. In 2016, Dean Munch is now an icon and purchases a hospital which she names Cure Institute and hires Harvard graduate Dr. Brock Holt and suspiciously cold Dr. Cassidy Cascade, as well as Zayday Williams, who is now in her first year of medical school. With persuasion from Zayday, Kathy hires the Chanels, who have been released from the asylum and are working in the medical industry. Meanwhile, Hester confesses to her crimes and is jailed. The hospital's first patient is Catherine Hobart, who is diagnosed with werewolf syndrome, with Zayday suggesting a lobotomy. However, Brock and Chanel suggest changing her diet, which causes her to lose her hair. The Chanels give Catherine a makeover and leave number 5 in the graveyard shift, while Chanel goes on a date with Brock and number 3 goes out with Cassidy. While taking a bath, a serial killer known as the Green Meanie appears and decapitates Catherine, while Chanel number 5 screams in horror. So I want to get everyone's initial reaction to the episode, just brief thoughts without going too deep into it, and we'll start off with Priscilla.
So, Scream Queen Season 1, our radio show has done it. We loved it. And this season just started off with a bang, picked up exactly where we left off. Just as kooky, just as zany, and just as fun. I laughed at a whole bunch of puns. I laughed at a whole bunch of really dirty jokes. I just laughed out loud the entire time. It's great. Loved it.
All right, now, next up, Prince, who is our expert in ghosting. Prince, give us your initial reaction to the episode.
Oh my god. telling you, I'm with Priscilla. Like, yo, started off just like the last one with a bang. It had the right jokes, the right sense of humor. It had you questioning automatically, like off bat, who you think the Green Meanie is. Like, yo, it came back as hard as it came before. I am enjoying this show. Like, the show can only get better.
Oh, right now, Clay, what are your initial thoughts on the episode?
Let me preface this by saying I live for Scream Queens. I love the tongue-in-cheek writing. I think it's just a brilliant show across the board. And it kind of might be the odd man out on this. I love the episode. I love that we got to get the update on these characters 3 years later. However, I think I may have been spoiled by last year's pilot just because it was kind of double-sized. And so they had twice the time to kind of introduce these characters, introduce this world. And by the end of it, you really had like an established idea of kind of what to expect from the show. You knew the brand of humor it had, and I definitely think season 2 opened up with a great episode. But there was something I was missing, and maybe it was just that second hour that wasn't there, that I really didn't get into the characters as much as I would have loved. But overall, I think the writing is just top notch. It's pure Ryan Murphy. It's pure hilarity, and I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Well, since Clay brought us down, I'll bring us back up, because I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was awesome. It was everything that I was expecting and more, and I loved what they did with the change in location, because I'll be honest, I was kind of worried. I was like, how are they going to go from, you know, the university setting to a hospital? And it just didn't make sense on like how they were going to bring all these characters back and whatnot, but it fit perfectly, and especially in the Scream Queens world, which is already kind of like over the top, and you know, like they're moving at like Mach 10 because it's just so intense and insane and that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you about it. But before we get into a thorough recap of the latest episode of Scream Queens, here's our announcer with a few reminders on how you can interact with us.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR. Are you afraid? Follow us on Tumblr, Are You Afraid? -screamqueens.tumblr.com. Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Help support Poppy Chulo Radio financially by visiting gofundme.com/poppychuloradio. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. So, alright, let's get into it, everybody. Let's start off with the flashback. So, this seems to be like the motif of Scream Queens going forward, because I wasn't sure what they were going to do. Were they going to have flashbacks and this, that, or the other? But it seems as if, you know, if we do, hopefully, get a third season and beyond of the Scream Queens, we will be having these flashbacks that will affect the present day. And so we flash back to Halloween 1985, and we're in a hospital. They're having a Halloween party in the hospital with like the music blasting, which I thought was kind of funny. You know, the patients and whatnot that are sick and whatnot, they're listening to everyone have this bacchanal basically in the nurse's station, and we have the wife of a patient, you know, looking for someone for help because her husband is has COPD, right? And he's they aren't sure. She isn't sure what to do next, and so he needs medical treatment, and she ends up running into a nurse who ends up finding a doctor played by Jerry O'Connell, and it seems as if Dr. Mike will be of help and whatnot. So Dr. Mike and Nurse Thomas end up going with the wife to her husband, and it seems as if they're going to be help. But, initially Dr. Mike is like, oh, we'll run some tests and we'll do it in the morning and whatnot. I need to get back to the party. But Jane, the wife, is like, you need to help my husband Bill. Like, you need to help him right now. I'm going to sue all your asses. And so it seems as if Dr. Mike is going to help. But once Jane goes to the waiting room, Dr. Mike, along with Nurse Thomas, take Bill back to the outside of the hospital, and behind the hospital there's this swamp. And we learn a little bit about the hospital. It's like the 4th rated hospital out of 4, and so people go to that hospital not really expecting much because they're the 4th one out of 4. And apparently this swamp behind the hospital is filled with toxic waste and all this kind of stuff. It glows with this green hue. And Nurse Thomas informs us that there were rumors when she was growing up of this creature living in this poisonous swamp, this creature known as the Green Meanie, which she believes in, and it creeped her out. And so Dr. Mike decides to dump the body of Bill into the swamp because he says, because of all this toxic dump that's in it, the body will have decomposed in a day or so, and then they'll fill out some paperwork. They'll make it seem as if Bill checked himself out and whatnot, and they have their hands clean. Now I don't know if this was the drugs or the liquor or whatnot speaking, or if this is actually what Dr. Mike thought would sort of really work out. But apparently that's what they do. They dump the body while Jane waits. Jane is pregnant, by the way. Jane waits in the waiting room. So let's talk about the flashback, because a lot of setup happened in the flashback, and I thought it was really interesting how they sort of thrust us into the world of this really incompetent hospital. So Priscilla, lead the way. What'd you think of the flashback to 1985 Halloween?
I'm gonna say, just as a side note, that American Horror Story kept making these little videos before American Horror Story came out.
Yes.
And one of them was the swamp thing, which goes perfectly with Scream Queen. So I'm I see what you did there, Ryan Murphy.
Get out of my brain. I thought the literal same thing when I was watching that. I was like, oh my God. I remember watching that. I thought the same thing.
Great minds think alike. But yeah, I loved that I'm so glad they got O'Connell back to do some work, because he's a treat to see on the screen. His face just pulls off these sorts of expressions that are really funny. Oh my God. For the life of me, I loved that whole Scream Queens, everything is messed up and we accept this sort of vibe. So I completely loved the characterization of the hospital and stuff, but I kind of want to know, what the hell was the girl, the nurse, dressed as? Because I was running through my head who's got black hair and a purple nightgown? I don't know who this is. Did any of you know?
No. I thought
someone from 1985.
Yes.
Yeah. Her Halloween costume is remarkably huh? But other than that, holy shit. This is great. That guy, that it's a new baby, mystery baby who's probably the Green Meanie. I know it.
It's exciting. I should make a note that based on the nurse's suggestion, Dr. Mike ends up taking his Halloween costume off, because she's what if someone saw us, dump the body? Your costume is very recognizable, because he's dressed in this green cape, with this a green horned devilish type of mask on. So that
Wasn't
comes.
he technically dressed as the Green Meanie?
I don't think that's what the Green Meanie is. I think he was just a Green Devil type of character.
I think he was just a Green Devil because he didn't know the Green Meanie story. The nurse told him about it.
That's a good point. And maybe that he just adapts that moniker, the present day Green Meanie, takes the costume and just like applies that name to it.
Clay, share with us your thoughts on the flashback.
I loved it. It made me, I think it was like a really cute kind of wink and nod back to the pilot of Scream Queens, which, as you guys know, opens with like TLC waterfalls and there's the baby in the bathtub. And it was just delightfully ridiculous. Their plan to get away with this murder was to like forge paper. It made no sense, and it was brilliant. I didn't even think about the lady in the costume, but now that I think about it, I'm like racking my brain while I'm listening, like, what was she? But it made me think, like, is this going to be a mechanic that they use moving forward? Are we going to have a different colored demon monster meanie every season with a serial killer baby? But I really liked it. I think it was the perfect way to kind of echo the first season while also charting new territory into this new one.
Okay, and Prince, what about you?
I enjoyed the beginning. I don't want to like really repeat everything that was said prior, but like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like it was typical like Scream Queen-esque like beginning of their season, and I'm starting to get used to it kind of now. We'll see if this is what they do with the third, if they come back for a third, or what they do. But if it's a pattern, I'm digging it right now. Hasn't bothered me yet.
Okay. So the next thing that happens is we move to present day, and there was a lot of exposition because they have to explain the new motif. It was basically like a pilot all over again because we got to get reintroduced to the characters and reintroduced to where they are at this point in time. So where we last left Dean Munch, she was like the new face of new feminism, and she was on the cover of Time magazine. She's hosting her own TED Talks, and she has decided to create a program titled Cure. She purchased this hospital, and her goal is to cure these like incurable diseases. And once she starts off the hospital, she gets a staff and whatnot, and she ends up visiting our girl, Zayday Williams, who is like busting her ass, going through medical school. She ended up like graduating college in like a year and a half. She's now got 3 jobs to pay off her medical school loans and all the bills and whatnot. And so Munch arrives to basically make Zayday an offer. She's like, come on board, I will pay for your schooling, and this can be part of your residency, come join me in the hospital. And initially Zayday was hesitant, but then she's like, okay, let's do it. And when she ends up joining the hospital team, she notices that the hospital is filled with a lot of male doctors. So she gives the former dean, now Dr. Munch, because she does have an honorary doctorate, the one that they took away from Bill Cosby.
Which was perfect, by the way.
Yes. So Zayday convinces Dr. Munch to hire some more women, and this is where we catch up with the Chanels. I'll save the new characters until after we discuss our returning favorites. So obviously, we saw that the Chanels were in the asylum at the end of the first season. So we see that Hester has confessed to her murderous spree. And it was hilarious because she thought that she could get away with it because of Double Jeopardy, but she failed to know that Double Jeopardy affects the person. That means the person can't be tried twice. It's not that the Chanels were tried and so now she can't be tried because that would be Double Jeopardy. Because as our friend Denise Hemphill would say, that's Single Jeopardy. So there's this whole thing because apparently the Chanels... Yes. The Chanels... Wait, go ahead, Prince.
No, I said that scene, I could probably watch that scene like 5 times of Hester incriminating herself because she thought
Yes, it's single Jeopardy.
She was so sure. She was so like determined.
She was like, no, I cannot get tried because it's double jeopardy. And they're like, no, you weren't tried for that twice. She's like, no, but it was tried twice. The Chanel's already did. They're like, no. Dude, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was
Denise
crazy.
is great in that.
Yes, and we learned that the Chanels have become kind of like a national phenomena because they had their own like Making a Murderer type of Netflix documentary, which was called Entrappa Kappa Kappa, Murder on Sorority Row. And because of all of this, they were set free, but we learned that the Chanels, they may have been like vindicated. They aren't murderesses, but they are social pariahs. And so each one, took jobs in the medical industry. Oddly enough, we have Chanel number 3 cleaning up, mopping up spunk at a sperm bank, and Chanel number 5 is a receptionist at a dental office, and Chanel Oberlin.
Chanel number 5 got braces for her vagina teeth.
Well, we don't know that. Chanel believes that's why she's working.
I'm actually
at
glad
the
Prince
facility.
brought that up. I feel like that's pertinent information. We should definitely cover the
It is.
vagina
It is important. Thanks, Prince. And Chanel Oberlin, the Queen Chanel, she is a phlebotomist because she enjoys poking and poking and poking people. So, late at night, while eating some fruit pies, Dean Munch arrives and basically gives the Chanels an offer that they could not refuse. And Chanel number 5 was like really happy to take the offer. So she lets the girls know that they all should join medical school, enroll into medical school, and that they will be a part of her staff at the hospital. And they consider this a part of their redemption tour. And since they're already working in the medical field, or at least somewhat, why not go to medical school? And so that's how they end up in the hospital. So we'll get to our newbies in just a moment. Let's talk about our returning favorites. Let's talk about Dean Munch. Well, not Dean Munch. Dr. Dean Munch, I guess. We'll talk about Zayday and the Chanels. So we'll start off with the Chanels superfan, Prince. What'd you think?
I love the Chanels. Still, as much as I loved them before. Actually, I might even love them a little bit more. Because they're just even meaner because they're poor. Oh, that kind of rhyme.
Yes, they were disowned by their family.
They got disowned. They're broke. They have to fight over friggin' fruit pies. I think I like these bitches even more. But I was expecting, when Chanel number 1 woke up to be a little bit meaner. Remember, she called them whores last time, or hoes. So I'm she's getting a little soft on me. Dean Munch.
Can I just say that fruit pie looks so good? I'm just saying.
You are crazy. I looked at that fruit pie and I was like,
nope.
Gross.
No,
I really wanted to eat the fruit pie.
Bottom.
yeah, I think that was the true sign that they were just at their lowest of low. And she held on to it like she was on Survivor. There was a level of intensity there that was crazy.
Yeah, she was ready to fight for that friggin' fruit pie. Dean Munch, she's just gotten crazier and low-key meaner than... Well, not low-key meaner. She's just subliminally meaner. She does her little under jabs. But typical Dean Munch. And Zayday, very optimistic and positive. As long as she doesn't end up like Grace, I'll be good.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I know, Priscilla, you did not care for Grace last season, and it seems as if they have given the good girl role to Zayday this season, which I feel like Keke Palmer will be fine in that role. I don't think they're gonna make her too goody two shoes like Grace was. I feel like they'll give Keke some bite, which Zayday had last season. So what are your thoughts on Zayday now being the good one of the group?
I'm so worried about it because part of what was interesting about that character that Grace didn't have, as Grace was kind of like a pastiche of like the good girl who's completely shocked at how horrible everything is going on, and like Zayde kind of knew that crazy shit was going on and she pointed it out, and she was really sarcastic but still good. And I didn't really see that this episode. The only thing that maybe got close to that is when she's like, I'm here for my MD, not my MRS. I was like, holy shit, yes, snap. I love that. But like, other than that, I'm like, you're coming off really sanctimonious, and you know who was like that? Grace. And no, that character was awful. I'm kind of glad that she's not back. And of course,
oh my God, I'm so glad Grace is back.
I love that she's back or not back with no explanation or no even like facsimile of an explanation. She just disappeared off that show.
As needed.
Her and her father.
Yes, as needed. Like, you're a problem.
Bye.
It's all your fault, right? Because it's all your fault that shit happened in the first place. Hey, wait. Is it Hester, though? Their sister? So, how'd she make it to the sequel and they didn't?
Hand waving. It's just kind of like, how did she get into medical school in a year and a half? Because reasons. Like, that's...
Yeah, we can't...
Well, how did the Chanels get into medical school overnight?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
Chanels, they're good at that.
So many so many of my
like,
doctor friends are like, how the hell did they just like get into medical school without going through all of that shit with the MCAT? What the fuck? Like, I want a Dean Munch in my life. Like,
exactly. If this were the Once Upon a Time podcast, we would say #magic, because things can happen with magic. For this show, it's just #reasons.
Yeah.
Plot reasons. Why not? Yeah.
But other than that, like, I kind of love the kind of just little kind of emotions that come across the Chanel's faces. Like, did you see Chanel number 3's face when she was about to mop up that room? Like, how freaking excited and happy she was.
She was geeked.
Oh, yes.
She was like pumped. She was definitely loving her job that day.
Yeah, Chanel number 5 seemed to hate her job. Like, only 2 Chanels seemed to actually like give a shit about that stuff, about what they were doing. I liked it, and just like I talked about everyone except the Dean. I love that she talks to Pope Francis, and Pope Francis told her, what are you gonna do now that you've done everything? Like, she knows everybody, and like, that was just nice. And her like being caught up on like that. Are you smoking a blunt? No. Yes. Like, it was so great. I love it. I loved everybody back.
Oh, the Dean. The Dean is amazing. We didn't really discuss Denise and Hester as much, because they were in a flashback, basically, to the trial of the Chanels. Yeah, well, we discussed them a little bit, but does anybody have any final thoughts on the brief appearance of Hester and Denise?
Special agent.
Special agent. Sorry.
Excuse me.
But Denise, yes, Denise gave me life like she always does.
I think Niecy Nash can do so much with so little. I think she was literally, if you added up the time in that episode, it had to be like less than 5 minutes. But she's just one of those actresses who just has it. Like, I would listen to her read the phone book. She's just like fucking hilarious.
As Denise Hemphill.
Yes.
When the hell is this going on? Why was her evidence in a VCR, like in a cassette?
I know, right?
What?
Well, because she's Denise, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shondell.
R.I.P.
Oh my God.
R.I.P.
Yes, because Shondell got killed and then she got pushed out the car.
Can I just say, I love that Shondell was like one of the first kills, and like we're still talking about Shondell like another season later. Shout out to Shondell, that was so
barely,
good.
Like, no lines except for the time that she was at Best Buy because she had to watch them stealing the.
Exactly.
Stealing.
She used to do security at the Best Buy parking lot.
Oh my God. Shondell. Shout out, Shondell.
Right?
It's just spectacular. Alright, let's get into our new characters. We'll talk about the new staff. at the hospital first, the ones that we were introduced to. So we're introduced to immediately two doctors. We have, he went to Harvard, y'all. Dr. Brock Holt, who's played by John Stamos, and we have the eternally cold Dr. Cassidy Cascade, played by Taylor Lautner. And we learned that Dr. Holt was he was like a part of a freak accident. It was during the Super Bowl, and the power went out, and he was washing dishes or whatnot, and his Harvard, did I mention Harvard, class ring fell down into the garbage disposal, and then as he reached down to grab it, which I think is everyone's terror if you have a garbage disposal.
My biggest friggin' fear. I hate my garbage disposal just because I'm afraid that might happen one day.
I taped the button on my garbage disposal so that shit would not happen to me.
Wow,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
a real
Yeah.
problem, apparently.
It's scary. So he
I
reached
cringed
down.
watching it. That's how bad that was. Like that was like me watching Saw. Like I was cringing. I was like, oh my god, no.
That moment looked like Kill Bill, like with the blood.
When the
just
blood
spraying
splatting up on his face, yes. Oh my god, I was like, nope, I can't do this. Nope. And then I just gave my like garbage disposal a dirty look. I'm just not feeling it.
I know, right? So he reached down, and obviously his hand got mangled, and there was blood and all this kind of stuff. When the power went on, I should say, the power came on, and garbage disposal came on, and by hand. But Dr. Brock Holt was the first person to get a successful hand transplant. So he's got this this weird scar on his wrist, and I've got to say, it seems as if the hand has a life of its own. I'm just saying.
I
Yes, like
definitely
some idol,
agree.
Cruel Intent, some freshman idol, and yeah, no, he definitely, because the way he just like reacted to like
Everything.
what are you trying to say? Like it's not me because it's the hand. No, it's all mine. Like I was like, okay, relax.
Does
Okay,
anybody
what's-
kind of think that maybe the hand transplant that he got was from the doctor from the 80s? I thought about that a little bit, like the crazy murder doctor. Dr. Mike, I think you said it was, Jeff, in the beginning.
Yes.
I think that'd be interesting. And he
I
also
was
had that
thinking
really sketchy
maybe-
tattoo, too.
I was
Wasn't
thinking
it
maybe
just
the
a
hand
Harvard
was.
tattoo?
It was a Harvard. Yeah, there was the H, because Harvard.
I was gonna
Harvard.
say it was an H. It wasn't Harvard. You guys gotta remember, I live in Boston. That wasn't Harvard.
Ah.
It was an H though. Maybe Harvard.
Wow. Maybe they'll echo back to the first season, and he was part of some like weird collegiate secret society or something. That would be kind of cool.
At Harvard.
Yes, at Harvard.
I'm just
Did he
saying.
go to Harvard?
Yes.
I don't know if he mentioned that.
I
or
don't
not.
know. I forgot.
Well, he
Yeah.
implies it. He
Watch
implies
that back again.
Yes, implies heavily. And then there's Dr. Cassidy Cascade, who Zayday brushed up on him, I forget if she was tapping his shoulder or if it was accidental, but she noticed that he has like very chilly, cold skin. Like he's always consistently cold. What do we think that is?
You know?
Because he was like, I envy ice. At least if you give it heat, it melts.
Oh, that was just so creepy.
Yeah.
I'm so ashamed because like I read Twilight, so when she says you're freezing and he says I run cold, that's the exact freaking line that Bella tells Edward.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I miss that. That is funny.
Yes. So you're telling me that the guy who was a werewolf in this show is now treating werewolf syndrome and is probably like a fucking vampire. Yes, give me this.
Wow, that's layered, Priscilla. I didn't even pick up on that.
See?
Mhm.
Poignant thoughts here.
I think it's bizarre. I think he is a completely bizarre character, and he seems to have this huge knowledge base on like mutation and like a lot of things that are crazy. And what I found interesting was his introduction to the hospital. How he got there was by seeking Dean Munch out, whereas with Brock, she saw him in Playboy or Playgirl and decided that she wanted to hire him, which is like classic Dean Munch move right there. But did you guys hear him mention something about his family's trouble with like medical something or history or something? Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But he's like
That
this
was.
season's Hester so far. He's just really, really creepy out of the gate.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, and this is the problem that I had last season where I guessed wrong with the killer at the end because I started questioning it too much. I'm like, but it's too obvious. It's too easy if he's the baby. But it's all signs are pointing to yes there. But I'm just saying, aesthetically, everything aside, thank God we got this influx of two like really handsome gentlemen on the show. Like, this is nice. I'm sitting back thinking, yay, I have eye candy.
Wait, what two? I only saw one.
How dare you? They're
saying.
both amazing.
Just
But
saying.
she's talking about Prince Rico Suave and Clay's Anatomy. I'm just saying.
I was about to say, because I'm saying I'm McCarty. No, actually, McCarty is definitely John Stamos.
McCarty is, yeah. I think they're both fine. I'm an equal opportunity doctor person here. Like, they're both great.
I love that doctor person.
Oh gosh. So we discussed the doctors. Let's talk actually about the nurses, and we'll talk about head nurse Ingrid Marie Hoffel, aka Nurse I.M. Hoffel, played by Kirstie Alley, who I love.
So excited when she appeared. I was like, I didn't even know you were going to be on this season.
Can I just say, I love how every time she appears, they do that like noise or something like that. They do like this weird scream noise whenever she appears, and I love it. It's like.
She was a really interesting addition. I think they're really good for that. And Scream Queen specifically, I think, threw a lot of kind of guest stars that you didn't expect. I think Alan Thicke was like in the first season for an episode.
Yes.
Randomly. So I think Ryan Murphy is just like going through his contact list, like who can I? And Kirstie Alley, as a child of the 90s, I was ecstatic to see her. And she called the Chanels like dumb rich whores, which for me was just brilliant. I loved every second about that.
Oh, you guys are still dressed like sluts?
Yes. And I think there are a lot of nurses who watch that who have dealt with their own share of real life Chanels who I'm sure are just living for that character.
Yes.
She was really great. I liked her a lot. And I love that not only is like the dean like encouraging her to be like a hard ass on the Chanels, which I think gives the dean, well, she's no longer the dean. I'm going to be that. Kathy Munch. Munch, like, I think gets like pleasure knowing that Hoffel is being awful to the Chanels, but I like that she has her own agenda, because like she did that, like that whole creepy thing, like when someone leaves, she's like, well, if you only knew what I'm really doing.
Yes, I'm really interested in seeing where she goes with that. And she keeps telling them that they don't belong there. That seemed to be like a phrase that she kept repeating. So I'm really interested to see her backstory. And like you said, what she has planned for the Chanels, because she was like straight up twirling her mustache, like old school black and white villain every time they walked away. So I'm hoping it's something just crazy.
I'm just going to point out also that there was like an 80s movie marathon, and I was looking at Look Who's Talking, and I think Ryan Murphy did too, because he's gotten John Travolta on one of his shows, and now he's got Kirstie Alley on another.
Oh, that's funny.
Right?
And I wish they would have said that she was going to be on this show. Like, they never, like...
Right? I wish they, like...
They didn't. They announced it, like, about a week ago, but when they announced it, I assumed, okay, she's probably coming on later in the season, but I love that, you know, they kept it secret, and they didn't announce it until, like, a week or two ago.
Their team is getting really good at that. Like how Cuba Gooding Jr. has just appeared on American Horror Story.
Oh,
but I saw that too.
They announced that. Yeah, they announced that he was going to be on there after the OJ shit. But this one was kind of like I was blindsided.
Yeah, I think I thought that she would be like mid-season or something, just because like you said they announced it. It was about like maybe a week or two ago, and I was assuming it was going to be for like a really small arc. So to see her in the pilot, very excited for her character.
I agree. So let's get into the case of the week. It's going to be interesting, but I feel like every week we're going to get a new incurable disease patient, and this is the very first patient of, or I should say the very first incurable disease patient of the hospital, and the patient is played by actress Cecily Strong. Her name is Catherine Hobart, and she's suffering with that werewolf syndrome that I had mentioned, and the Chanels, they're ghosting. They are supposed to be sort of like seen but not heard, observing everything. But when they meet the patient, let's just say things don't go that well with the Chanels.
Just sign a
They're-
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I love number 5 asking her
Oh my
about
God.
her hair
Yes.
drain. That was epic.
I love that they
that.
actually showed it.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit had me rolling. She was like, "Thank you very much." I was like, "Yo,
Yes.
oh man,
That's too much. And so, because of the patient and because of their reaction to the patient and their non-ghosting, the Chanels get benched. They get on academic probation, and this is when they learn that they're not getting paid. We're not getting paid?
That
was
got
perfect.
just so much like throughout the internet. It's just kind of like, wait, we're going to school, we're getting free room and board, but we're not getting paid. No. This was-
Yeah.
perfect, epic.
It's too funny.
I can't
And
wait to use that.
And Zayday is working hard on like figuring out a cure because Zayday's like, we need to help this woman out. We need to find a cure for her. That's the reason why she's here. And Zayday comes up with the idea of a lobotomy because that's like, in doing her research, that seems to be like the only choice. And so Chanel, while on academic probation, she decides that instead of being a world-famous newscaster a la Diane Sawyer, that she wants to be a medical expert on Fox News. And to be a medical expert on Fox News, she has to go through medical school, and she has to pass, and she has to get her degree and all this kind of stuff. And so she riles up all the Chanels and like, okay, let's figure out this cure because we need to, get a good grade, and we'll impress the dean, or I should say, we'll impress Munch, and we'll prove ourselves and be better than Zayday and all this kind of stuff. And so she realizes quickly that the other two Chanels are not that smart. And so she heads on over to Dr. Holt, who she was immediately smitten with. And they do a little bit of research, and as she's flirting with Dr. Holt, they discuss her diet, her being the patient's diet, and they find out that she has a large amount of vitamin D in her diet, which causes an increase in testosterone, which could be why she is growing this incredible amount of hair. And so they stop the lobotomy from happening, and upon giving our werewolf a soy-based diet, she loses all her hair. And I do mean all her hair. So initially she's freaked out about it because she doesn't even have eyelashes or eyebrows, but
She
it's
looks like
time.
a baby.
A big baby.
Perfect. But wait. You missed something, and it's one of my the favorite parts of the episode.
Tell me.
When they introduce Chamberlain Jackson.
Oh, okay. Yes, that is the character. Yes, that I
Craigslist
missed.
Candy Striper. Yes, I'm all about
Yes.
it.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning, Harry Mary. Oh god, that was the loudest laugh I gave in the entire episode. He had 2 or 3 lines, and he chewed up scenery like it was nothing. I am all of him.
I think if Cassidy is this season's new Hester, then Chamberlain is definitely could be this season's new Denise. Because I agree. I think he did so much with that 2 seconds. He was just hilarious. And that actor, I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything before.
He
but
was on
knocked it out of the
Glee.
park. Oh my god.
He
yeah,
was
the bully, right?
He was the bully on Glee, so
Yeah.
he's completely opposite of. It's funny.
Showing range
Yeah,
as
I still
actors.
prefer- I did see that them trying to use him as the new Denise, but I'm like, I don't know. He's no Denise Hempfield.
Oh gosh. Well, no one will ever be Denise Hemphill. I'm just saying.
That's true.
But she does have a job now. She's not. What was it? Security Connection Services or whatever there was. I mean, she's no longer with them. So.
Mhm.
We'll get some more Denise, I'm sure. And so now that we have a big baby on our hands, the Chanels decide to do a makeover. And so we have a makeover montage set to the Go-Go's vacation. And the music was really great this episode, I'm just saying.
Agreed.
The music is usually really good on Scream Queens, but like I thought the music was really on point this episode. It was just weird and odd, which made it kind of fit, if that makes any sense. And so they make over Catherine with wigs and fake eyelashes and all that kind of stuff. And she's immediately happy, and she's ready to go take her first, Tinder profile picture. And that's when
Yeah.
Chanel warns her, side angle, good light, you're still 15 pounds from a New Jersey 6.
That was
Brutal, savage. When she said that, I was like, no.
Yes, and so the Chanels are victorious. They are no longer on academic probation. They've impressed the dean. They've gotten one over Zayday, who they seem to have a vendetta against. And Chanel is going on a date with Dr. Holt, and Chanel number 3 is going on a date with Dr. Cascade, and number 5 is forced to work the grave shift because it's also known as the virgin shift, and it's known as the shift for the losers that don't have dates. But Chanel number 5 wants to reinvent herself and all this kind of stuff, but Chanel's like, you stop taking your pills from the asylum, so that's not going to work. And so that night, while Chanel number 5 is taking Catherine to take a bath, because she has to take baths twice a day, because if not, her skin starts peeling, they go and they do a hydrotherapy type of thing, which I was like, really? Like, you don't have a bathtub? I just thought that was like weird. So they're in like this secluded area of the hospital, and Chanel number 5 is like waxing poetically about like the benefits of hydrotherapy, even though, you know, back in the day this was used for like crazy people, and you know, an hour in the hydrotherapy, crazy person is all relaxed and all this kind of stuff, and the water is scalding hot, but it's like just the perfect scalding hot, which feels good on your body and all this kind of stuff. And so Catherine gets into her hydrotherapy bath, and it locks. And she's like, it locked. And she's like, don't worry, I'm here with you. But then, like, Chanel number 5 gets into her own hydrotherapy, and it locks. But she's like, don't worry, you know, Chamberlain, like, knows that we're down here, and he'll get us in an hour and all this kind of stuff. And so they're doing the hydrotherapy. It's bubbling and all this kind of stuff. Chanel number 5 is ridiculously happy that she's in her hydrotherapy bath. And then someone enters. And it is our killer for the season, the Green Meanie. So he's decked out in the exact costume that Dr. Mike wore in 1985. And it's got the addition of this, like, glowing neon-y green goo, which is the water from the swamp. And he comes, well, the Green Meanie, I should say, because we don't know the gender, comes on in and puts on a record. And I gotta say, I love this song. I love Be My Baby by the Ronettes. I think it's fantastic. So we see the Green Meanie like dancing to Be My Baby. And then the Green Meanie, and well, the ladies obviously are freaked out because music's playing and they're seeing shadows of something there. And so they start screaming, and then the Green Meanie like opens the curtains and makes himself known. And he's got like this big ass, what would you call it, like a machete type of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a machete. That looks like
Yeah.
a machete.
He's got like this big ass machete, and he's swinging it around, trying to pick left, right, left, right. Our former werewolf is on the left. Our current Chanel number 5 is on the right. And the werewolf is like, pick her. She's a horrible person.
So bad.
Which I
Number
thought was
5
fantastic.
can never catch a break.
Poor number 5.
Chamberlain, please save number 5. I really like her. I don't want her to die.
I know, right? She's had it tough in life. No one likes her except for us. So
Right.
we need her to survive. But the Green Meanie chooses our werewolf, slices her head off. The head lands directly on top of the hydrotherapy tub that Chanel number 5 is in. Chanel number 5 is screaming, and the Green Meanie, it seemed as if the Green Meanie was ready to leave, but then the Green Meanie turns and heads towards Chanel number 5, and the last thing that we see, besides Chanel number 5 screaming, is the Green Meanie, like, chomping down the machete and hitting something.
I'm just gonna say, I didn't recognize Cecily Strong until that last freaking moment, the moment her head hits the table. And I was like, this is the second SNL person after, like, Nassim Pedrad that dies on this show. So, like, just need to get some more SNL ladies to die here.
Oh, that's funny. See, I recognized her when she got shaved, when she was the big baby. Like, I didn't recognize her, obviously, at all as a werewolf.
Yeah, that was really interesting, that condition she had. I would love if they do follow the model that we were kind of theorizing about, where there's like a new incurable disease week to week, to see if some of these are like legitimate. Is this something that actually happens to people? I imagine it is. I don't think it's fiction, but I would be fascinated to see if that happens in real life.
Werewolf syndrome? Yep. That, like, the way they described it, like, when not talking about drilling holes in people's heads and stuff, is pretty accurate. Like,
Okay.
but that whole, like, vitamin D, like, over, like, that's pure bullshit.
That was definitely Scream Queens taking liberal medical advice.
Yes.
I
But
did think they were gonna fail though, and not actually get her shaved. So when I did think that, I did think it was Candle Girl under there.
Oh, that's funny.
Mm,
Hi. Rest
No,
in
but
peace.
she's dead. Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Candle Girl. Okay, so let me ask the big. Well, do we feel like we need to add anything on the case of the week? Do we like that it seems that maybe there'll be a case of the week? Do we think that's interesting? Sort of nip-tucky?
I don't like the whole maybe one case of a week. I would like for it to fill up with more patients, so like they kind of have like their hands full on
Yeah.
top of the murders. So that's kind of what I'm kind of hoping for. Like they're gonna get like a lot, like just a bum rush of patients at once, and just not know what, and just have to get thrown into it.
I think that would
Okay.
be great, because not only would it add some variety and fill up the cast, but I love a good mystery, and that would be introducing a host of new subjects. So if we get patients who come on and have these incurable disease and are on for more than an episode, I think that would be really, really interesting to see.
Okay.
Because we had a whole lot more
I-
people
like-
to kill last season.
Yeah, that is true.
I
We
just
had
want to say, like,
Jeff Taylor Swift. We had Les.
We had Taylor Swift. Yes.
Taylor Swift.
Mm.
Deaf Taylor Swift.
We had Def Taylor Swift. We had Les. We had like Candle Girl.
Shondell.
Yeah, Shondell. Like we had all
Coney.
All of the
boys.
the
Half
male
the guys.
yeah,
Mhm.
the male fraternity.
I think
I forget
Earl
what they were
Grey
called.
was the hardest death, personally, for me to watch. That was tough. That was a sad day in my house.
Oh gosh.
The first death, Ariana Grande's death. No.
That was life. That was the
Mm.
best death ever. I'm still talking about that death to this day. That's how serious that death was.
That's too funny.
The only
Before-
role she was good at.
Before I ask everyone what you think of Chanel number 5's what happened to her, I do want to ask, were you like happy that they introduced us to this new serial killer in this first episode? Do you wish they would have waited? Do you like that we were introduced to the Green Meanie in the first episode? What do you think?
I feel like they procrastinated. I feel like we should have saw a little bit more of it. Per se.
Okay.
I feel like, for the most part, we know these characters. So, dilly-dallying on, like, their story, for the most part, the ones that we know, it wasn't too necessary. Like, they don't even know about the killer yet. Like, I feel like that, I think, like, I would have preferred for it to end with them all, like, knowing of this killer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, and now that you phrased it like that, I think I know what the first episode earlier when I said it was kind of missing something from me. I think they had a short amount of time to do so much because they did a 3-year time jump. So in addition to introducing this new mythology, this new big bad for the season, the Green Meanie, and raising the stakes, they also had to take these characters, like Prince said, that we already know, we're already accustomed with, and update us. And like you said earlier, there was a lot of exposition, there was a lot of catching up. This is how we're going to make this new medical setting kind of make sense, with air quotes. I think they had a lot to do in a short amount of time, which is why I think like a second hour would have really, because I agree with Prince. I would have loved to see one of the great things about the first episode in the first season is the mass hysteria that came once they realized that, you know, the Red Devil was targeting only Kappa, and it raised the stakes and it added a level of tension to the show. So I think that had they all found out in the first episode, I think that would have been a good move on the writer's part.
Kind of a
Plus, you
Okay.
also got to remember with the first one, we had like 2 deaths the first one, because remember they accidentally fried Chick's face.
Mrs. B.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The
So,
body
like, you
count
know,
was a
you-
lot higher. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot higher like the first time around. I'm like, this time, like, yeah, okay, we get the first death, but like we got the first death when Chick died in the bathtub. Like, you
True.
only gave me 2. I want like 3 deaths, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm. We need to rack up this
Bodies-
death count.
Yeah,
Give
let
us
the
more
bodies hit the
patience.
floor.
Yes, give us more patience and kill them off.
There you go. So let's ask like the big question of this episode. Chanel number 5, what's her fate? Is she dead or is she alive? What do we think? I'll go in order. Priscilla.
She is totally not dead. Like, why the hell would they have like done so much for like her vagina teeth? How much like gotten her meds straightened out last season? Like, why would we have gotten so much for her only to have her die the first episode? No, Chanel number 5 is coming back, if only to be mocked mercilessly by Chanel number 1.
Okay. Clay.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Priscilla on this one. I think that there are a lot of little breadcrumbs that they left throughout the episode about Chanel number 5 that would imply that she's coming back. Like the fact that post-Asylum and post them getting out in their Netflix documentary, it seems like number 5 is the only one not taking her meds. And I think we all know she's not the most stable person to begin with. She's like always one just hair away from like a nervous breakdown. So my sincere hope is that she is not dead and we'll see her in the next episode. Otherwise, I'm going to be heartbroken because I love number 5.
Okay. Prince.
Number 5's not going nowhere. She didn't survive friggin' from 2, 4, and 6 just to die now. I don't think any of the Chanels are gonna give up that easy. At least not first episode easy. And plus, not for nothing, Chanel number 5 has almost died like so many times. Like, we should
True.
just know at this point we can't kill this bitch.
Yeah, it's a running joke that she gets this close to dying,
All
and
the
then she
time,
never
yeah.
does.
And then I love that
even
she
said,
tells
like,
them and nobody cares. Like, there's no
exactly.
reaction.
Chanel Oberlin will be like, you can't even succeed in getting murdered. Like, get out of my face, Chanel number 5. Like, and she like lets her know, like, you're that much of a failure that you can't even fail at getting murdered.
Can't even
Although
die
Clay-
right.
Saying that, if she freaking dies, it's just gonna be the other way around, where it's just kind of like, she died? Okay, moving on. Nobody cares.
Right, pretty much. I kind
Aw.
of do hope that the Chanels do maybe possibly get another number 6.
That would be interesting.
It'll be
I would
awful.
love to see. Okay, so if I remember correctly, if I remember my Scream Queens mythology right, Chanel number 4 left and died of meningitis, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Or-
I would love to see something incorporated, especially now that our setting for this season is a hospital. That would be interesting if the reappearance of Chanel number 4.
Yeah,
That would
a
be
medical
very
record, something just
Yeah.
like throwaway to that. Like, I would love that.
Me too.
Or
I
maybe
would eat
she's
that
not
up.
even, or maybe she never really died. Just Chanel never cared enough, and then she shows up at the hospital. And they're like, number 4? Like, oh, question mark, then.
That would be epic. So here's hoping for like a surprise number 4 cameo, and because we've never seen her, they could cast anybody, really. You know.
Yeah. I'm going to be the contrarian just because I don't want us all to agree. but I'm going to say she died. And I'm going to say she died for the shock value because this is the sequel. This is the second season. And so someone from the original team needs to die to show us that the stakes have been raised. I hope that she doesn't die. Like I hope that the machete like goes into Cecily Strong's head or something like that, you know, to like show Chanel number 5 that this green meanie is not playing around. But because all of you want, or I should say said that she's going to live, I'm going to say that she dies.
There's some logic to that.
Well,
I
feel
think
like
you're right.
I feel like they're gonna use it. Like the green meanie is gonna use her to like introduce himself.
Like live and tell the tale. Like
like okay,
Game of
here's
Thrones
one
style.
body to let you know that I'm here to kill y'all, but I'm gonna need you to stay alive and tell them that I'm here.
Right.
Or the green
I think
meanie.
Jeff might be onto something. I think they need to kill one of the characters that we know and love, because this is a horror show, and when you think about it, like the core cast, the Chanels, I mean, Grace has just disappeared into obscurity. She's like no longer a factor. But Zayday, the Chanels, I watch it and I automatically kind of assume that they're safe. Part of it is that they're these bigger name actresses, but that would be a huge head turner, and I think that would be,
I see what you did there.
Really smart on the red turn.
That would be interesting.
So yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I hope she didn't.
Or the green meanie could kidnap her.
So
I
bummed
think
out.
future-wise, I think at this point, these are the characters. I feel like at this point, you have to look at this group and think of like potentially if there's a third season coming. I know right now it hasn't been confirmed. We haven't got to that point yet, but like you have to think of that sense and like think of like, all right, he's gonna clearly, you're right, he's gonna kill some of these people off, but a handful of these people are going to continue on to the third season. So you kind of got to look at like the ones that like are the comedy wise, they get the people, get the views. And I feel like the Chanels are like that group. I feel like the Chanels, the 3 remaining Chanels are kind of like a necessary core for like a successful Scream Queen.
Yeah, I think they're a core part of the show, and I think that Emma Roberts is kind of to Scream Queens what Sarah Paulson is to American Horror Story. I don't see Scream Queens existing without some version of her. She's always in the poster arts and etc. But I could be wrong. They could completely pull the rug from under us and nobody's safe, and Zayday could die next week, and I have no idea. But I am excited at the prospect of this new season. This new villain, we didn't get to see too much of. I would have liked to see a little bit more during that last scene with Chanel number 5, and I'm spacing on Cecily Strong's character.
Catherine.
I just liked the green meanie seeing like the remnants of Nickelodeon Studios' slime all over his hands. That glow in the dark shit looked really cool.
No, I loved that, and how like the
glowing
footprints was like really neat too.
This is total Swamp Thing. Like I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I even felt like his mask was like even like more detailed and like crazy and sick, like with the little horns and like the curves to the horns and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, that's epic.
Yeah, they picked a really great costume. In my opinion, it's much better. A huge step up from like the simple Red Devil.
My only problem is why they keep giving these killer capes.
Oh,
Did we
I
not learn
love
the last
that.
time that capes were not a good. Like the capes are not a good idea for killers.
It's an ambiance thing. It's to make them look
Creepier.
huge and imposing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. So we've discussed the episode. It's time to pick the MVP, the most valuable player, the character that impressed you the most, and why. So the rules are simple. You got to let us know who you pick, why they impressed you, and a simple twist. If someone has mentioned the character that you were going to choose, you have to select a different character to bring a little variety to the MVP. So we're going to start off with ladies first. Priscilla, your MVP and why?
Thank you. Like I mentioned it before on this episode, but I'm just going to say it again for emphasis. Chamberlain Jackson, with 2 lines or so, like, got my attention, like, as a new character right off the bat. Harry Mary. Oh my god, like he's the best. I'm hoping to see more of him. So he's
Yes.
my favorite, my MVP.
All right now. Prince, your MVP and why?
I'm a little toss up. I was gonna go with Christy Alley because I was so just surprised that she was really gonna be a part of the cast and all. But I'm gonna go with Chanel number 5 because she brought her A game with like the jokes and the banter and getting attacked. She had me laughing with most of her scenes, like, and especially with like the fur ball scene in the shower drain. Like that probably had me rolling.
Okay.
And it might be the last time we're able to say MVP if she really is
Aw.
dead.
Right?
So.
If she really is dead.
Oh.
I got the last time that Chanel 5 ever becomes MVP.
Rest in pieces.
Okay. You guys are bumming me out.
Oh gosh. Well, since you're bummed out, Clay, who's your MVP and why?
Ironically enough, Priscilla chose my first choice, who was Chamberlain, and then Prince chose my second choice. I would say, out of the people left, I think Dean Munch really brought it home. She's like kind of a slightly less cool white Oprah in the Scream Queens
gosh.
world. She like knows Pope Francis.
She
for,
smokes
like,
weed. She's very
no
cool.
She's
That
a
blunt
badass.
scene was hilarious.
I think, you can tell that Jamie Lee Curtis is having the time of her life. And I just loved how she popped up. I don't know if you guys saw that in the first scene when Cassidy and Dr. Holt are talking. I forget who they're talking to. But she just pops up out of nowhere, and I just thought that was classic Munch. So I'm going to go with Munch for this week. And I'm hoping next week number 5 is alive, and I get the chance to call her as the MVP.
Well, there you go. And my choice for MVP is actually the one that Prince discarded. I am Hoffel. I love Kirstie Alley. I think she's phenomenal, and she brought so much to this role. She's gonna be great as like the boss bitch that is gonna pick and prod at the Chanels to try to take them down, which is gonna be amazing. Because we kind of had that with Dean Munch in season 1, and so it seems as if I Am Hoffel is going to be that antagonistical character for the Chanels, which is gonna be great because seeing Kirstie with Emma Roberts and the other Chanels going at it is going to be a whole lot of fun. And no one took I Am Hoffel, so that's why I got the chance to say her. But I do want to give, and I feel like all of us want to give an honorable mention to Denise Hemphill, because why not?
Always. But let me just put it out there. If you ever hear this, Kirstie Alley, I did not discard you. I just placed you aside for a
Okay,
future
there you
episode.
go. Shout out to Kirstie. She is our number 1 fan, I'm just saying. So let's get to the important question. This is the big question that we will be asking at the end of every podcast. This is the big one because this is the question that we more than likely will not get the answer to until the season finale. Who is the Green Meanie? And right now the rule is you have to pick one character, because unlike last season, we do not know if there are multiple Green Meanies. So we are assuming as of right now that there's just one. When we get evidence that there are more, then we might have to change this question based on the evidence. So right now, who do you think the Green Meanie is? Who is our killer for the season?
Let me go.
And we're going to go in the same order of
Oh.
of the MVP. So
He
Priscilla.
totally wants to
Yes.
go first.
So Priscilla can go first, and there is no rule like the MVP. So as far as
okay.
if someone says someone, you can co-sign it and bring your own thoughts as to.
That's why I was trying to steal Priscilla's spot, because I thought she was going to pick somebody
Okay.
that I was going to pick. I could have picked me first.
Now I'm really interested to hear who you guys
I know,
think it
right?
is.
So Priscilla, we'll start off with you.
I the obvious choice is Dr. Cassidy Cascade, but I don't want to go with that. I'm still thinking that he's such an awesome character, Chamberlain Jackson, and he was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. That I think it's him.
Oh, okay. I like it. Prince, go ahead.
All right, so mine is not going to be the obvious answer. I'm going with Zayday. It's going to be a twist. That's why she's acting so nice. And wasn't she raised by her grandmother? And the guy that died was black. So Zayday could actually be mixed. And that's why she lived with her grandmother the first season. And that's why she had a chainsaw under her bed and all that crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting.
I'm going with Zayday. She's going to play nice because she has an alternative motive. That's
Or
why
an
she's acting
ulterior
like
one.
race. Well, you know what.
Yes. I love that. An alternative motive.
That's
Oh,
a really good
God.
theory. I think also Denise Hemphill would like be super proud if she heard you say that.
Yeah, Denise would be very proud of you. And Prince,
come
you
back.
just like blew my mind. Like my
Yeah,
brain
that was-
exploded.
That was well put together. Golf clap.
That was fantastic. All right, Clay, you have to follow that. Sorry.
Yeah, Priscilla is all up in my brain because I think it is Chamberlain Jackson too. I think he's a fairly off the radar character. He has this really sunny disposition, but Chanel number 5 told him that they were going to be in the hydrotherapy chambers, and he didn't show up, which is kind of sketchy because during the scene he's introduced, he seems to be a really, really hard worker. I mean, he's rolling in this cart, handing out lollipops, giving out razors to the needy, and I don't know. Right now, given the limited information, I'm going to go with Chamberlain Jackson.
Okay. So. Okay, so the character should be in their 30s, in their early 30s. They should be about to be turning 31. They'll turn 31 on Halloween, or shortly after Halloween. Not on Halloween, but after Halloween. So, I'll be honest, like, after the episode was done, I was like, for me, there were only two choices. Dr. Cascade or Chamberlain as well, because I was like, he looks like he could be around the age as well. And we're looking for someone who could be biracial, a black father and a white mother. And to be quite honest, Dr. Cascade like looks a lot like the actor that was playing the father that died.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
although I love the Zayday like theory, because I think
After thinking about the age,
it's beautiful.
I realized
I don't know what age with the 3-year time jump, like how they're doing that. And to be quite honest, I feel like they did an error because if I'm not mistaken, like Scream Queen season 1 like took place in the present, and then they ended that in like January of like 2016 because it was like a couple months after Halloween.
Oh yeah, the
And so
yeah.
the end of their finale was in 2016, but then like 3 years later, it's 2016. So it's funny. Like it kind
Hashtag
Exactly.
reasons.
That's why I put it there because I'm like, you know what? Their logic doesn't make
their
sense.
logic doesn't make
But then
sense.
again-
So for some reason, like Zayday
It's
could
like
end up
only
being the
take
baby
one.
still.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait. What happens if I pick? Okay, if not Zayday, like no, like if I had to like scrap Zayday, my other answer was Denise.
Well, that would just
Yeah,
be
like-
crazy. But it could
I-
work on
That
this show.
Would be Scream Queen.
Yeah, it could
That
work
would
on
be
this
good.
show. Could you imagine? No, but Denise was there
Yeah.
for the party. When was the party? Remember she was at the
It
party?
was in
Denise was at the
85.
No. She was at the party, the sorority party. When was the sorority party?
Oh, the Kappa party.
So
yeah, she tried.
She
to
was already
pledge.
old enough to pledge.
Yeah, but you know what? That was questionable too.
Okay,
See how-
because she was looking the same.
I think
That
we're
was up
pulling
for
at threads here,
interpretation.
guys. It's
That was
like
up for interpretation.
Oh gosh.
hashtag
Reasons. Okay, I'll say this. I'm going to go with the obvious choice, Dr. Cassidy Cascade. I have a feeling that it's going to change next week, but for right now, like, he's cold, he's a little, there's something off about him, and he does look a lot like the father in the flashback. So,
Very true.
maybe. Who knows? Why not? But on that note, Join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid, Scream Queens. Once again, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR. Are You Afraid? Follow us on Tumblr, Are You Afraid? screamqueens.tumblr.com. Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Help support Poppy Chulo Radio financially by visiting gofundme.com/poppychuloradio. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com.
Thanks, announcer. Co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night.
Good night.
Watch out for the green meanie.
Yes. Sleep with one eye open.
And a chainsaw under your bed. Just saying.
Always put the chainsaw to your bed.
Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid, Scream Queens every Thursday via iTunes and the Poppy Chulo Radio archives. New episodes stream via poppychuloradio.com every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Good night.